If you were given the choice to retire at the age of 30 or never retire, which one would you choose? In today's video, I'm going to talk about why I would choose to never retire over retiring over 30, and to be honest, tell you why I never want to retire. Stay tuned. Okay, so Brady, what do you mean you never want to retire, right? Like, what does that actually mean? Well, I've spoken to many people before about this, and a lot of the times people look at me crazy, what do you mean you never want to retire? Normally this comes up when we're talking about our future plans, what we want to do in life, and then they're like, yeah, I want to retire by 50. And in my head, I don't want to retire when I'm 50, I don't want to retire when I'm 40, I don't want to retire when I'm 30. To me, the idea of retirement doesn't make sense. So I'm going to tell you why I don't want to retire, right? So let's just look into it. What does retire mean? It basically, if you look at the definition of it, it's stop working, right? You are retiring, you're stopping the thing you're doing. And then most people, when they think of retirement, is okay, I retire and then I can spend the rest of my time just chilling, doing what I want, relaxing. And when you look at it in that way, it's kind of brings up this evident issue in the world today, is people aren't enjoying what they're doing actively every day, so they're looking forward to when they're 70 and then they can sit on a beach and drink cocktails. I don't understand that kind of thinking. And so whenever I say I don't want to retire, they look at me and they're like, oh, you just want to work for the rest of your life? But yes, because work is something that you should love doing. And yes, I understand this isn't possible for everyone. And with economic structures that exist in today's world, of course, it's not always going to be plausible. But if you have the option and if you take the risk, and of course it's not going to always work out, but that's life and that's the essence of life in itself. But if you take that risk and you do what you love every day, retirement seems absurd. So let's go further into why. So if I look at what I want to do with my life, I want to create an organization that uplifts and provides opportunities for youth around the world, and especially youth in South Africa, to do things around the world themselves and to travel and to learn so that we can uplift our countries and all the other countries, right? And that seems like a lot of work because it is a lot of work. And I don't want to get to a point where I'm oh, I am done now. Even when I'm 70 or 80, I want to still have an impact on the world. I want to still be doing things. Now, I'm not saying, I want to be as active and working 12 hours how I would be when I'm 30, but I never want to get to a point where, oh, you sit and you rest and then you do nothing. So let's go into that a bit more. Why do people want to do nothing, right? So if I had the option to retire at 30, right? Let's say I grinded and I made a hell of money, I made millions of dollars or whatever, and I'm 32 years old. What's the point? The books I've been reading recently, and just from what I've been learning, money to me, yes, I would love some money because I don't have a lot right now, but money almost essentially doesn't matter. In my head, I'm not saying I want to build these organizations and these companies just for money. I'm saying I want to provide this value in the world, and obviously money's going to come with it. And that kind of value is what I'm focused on. So by the time I'm 32, I don't want to be able to sit down. And I want to put this into an example for you. Let's just understand what retirement is, right? So let's say you make a lot of money, you're 35 years old, you created a new app or whatever that's revolutionary, everyone's in the world is using it, and you're set for life. You get the royalties until you're 200 years old. Yeah, you go sit on a beach, you drink your cocktail, your margaritas, and what? Then? What do you do? Sure, I would love a vacation on the beach, right? Beautiful, sea, everything. And then what are you gonna do the next day? Again, sure, yeah, who doesn't love a holiday? Let's say 2 weeks. 2 weeks you're at this lovely beach, you're throwing parties, whatever, spending time with friends, and you're just, woo, fun. What then? What actually happens after that? Could you live on an island for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years? Okay, now you're 36, then what? That idea to me just seems absurd. And I feel as human beings, we need to have a purpose, something pushing us. So then the next response to that would be well, Brady, maybe I can just do things that have a purpose without working. I've made my millions per se, and I want to be a philanthropist. Sure, but then you're not retired. And this is the mentality I'm going into. It's I think as people, right? Because I'm only 20 years old. I don't have the insight yet to speak about these things. But what I think and what I want to, see throughout the rest of my life is we should rather develop this like attitude of like, I want to provide value and I want to be financially stable. We shouldn't link it with the idea of retirement. Because even like just search up retired person on a beach, right? Search that up on Google. You will see like an old person, and most of the time it's an old man, by the way, just, you know, Google doing this thing. But you'll see an old person on the beach, like drinking whatever. I find that extremely interesting because it insinuates the idea of like, oh, retirement being old and you're at the end of your life and now you can enjoy it. I don't agree with that. It should be every day you're enjoying your life and you're contributing to something you're passionate about. And that shouldn't have to stop because you're 70 or 80. You should love what you do so much that by the time you're 80, you want to continue doing it. Or if you're not physically able to, you want to still contribute in that sphere. Like when I'm 102 years old, sure, maybe I can't be running businesses, but I want to still paint. I still want to maybe sit and talk to the younger generation about like what is leadership, how to develop your leadership. Like these are things that in itself shouldn't go away. You shouldn't have to retire from this. So like now, I don't want this video just to be a rant, so like let's think about like how do you never retire? I mean like the easy answer is you just work until you die, right? But that's not what I want. I'm not saying we should be in this hustle culture all the time, like work. You can enjoy your life, of course. However, like what I think, and there's an interesting podcast with Chris Williamson and Bill Perkins, which is pretty cool. I don't agree with everything he says there, but you know, what do I know? I don't have the experience yet. But some of the stuff he talks about is like spending your money before you retire. And he talks about like these things, ideas of like life. I think an interesting example, analogy he gave was like before you're born and you're in heaven or whatever and you're talking to God. And you're like, yeah, I want 500 points of like money. So I want to be a millionaire and I want to do surfing and I want to design a game, right? And you assign these. And the idea is not what can you do, but more so like when do you do it? And it's a very interesting idea that he talks about is like, you have to be able to assign it correctly in your timeline of life. So like, yeah, you want to make $1 million, but like by when? You know, maybe you messed up and you said, oh, by 70, you know, when you decided designing your life up in heaven or whatever. And when I'm surfing, I want to be surfing at 82 and I want to design a game at 23, right? Like you're spending your points wrong. And to me, that's what retirement looks like. It's like you're spending your points wrong. If you want to go on a beach and drink your cocktail, like why wait until you're 70? If you're in that situation and you're building something and you want to work, that should be integrated. Like don't wait until you're 80, die, give your kids your inheritance when they're like what, 55, and then you know life goes on. Like you're 80 or you're 70 and you're retired, you're not going to be surfing. You're not, or maybe you are, I don't know, maybe like a really strong 70-year-old, but you know what I mean? Like ideally your body only lasts so long and we need to like capitalize on the idea of like how do we actually make use of our time and our money in our life. I would rather, let's say I am fortunate enough and I'm 35 and I'm multi-millionaire. That's when I would rather like start looking into building systems for the future for my family rather than when I'm 80. So what does a comparative side look like? It looks like, well, I don't have the money to do that. I think that's the only real thing. It's like, oh, I work for money, and because over time people build up like retirement annuity and such, they can't afford to never retire, if you know what I mean. They need a structured job. However, and I'm speaking to you like the 18, the 17, the 16-year-old, even like the 20-something-year-old. We're in an age right now where like jobs are so malleable and more malleable than they've ever been before. And like we don't have to look at things at the structured and this like basically like a gate. It's like a gate and there's only one way to open it. Like I say, let's not even use this gate. Let's go down there and go to the hole in the ground and then maybe we'll dig our way to gold. Do you understand what I'm saying with that analogy? It's like we don't have to follow the same path of like work, get a job and then retire. We can create a system or new job where it doesn't beg us to need to retire. Instead, it's something we love doing and we find passion in it, and that passion and that genuine like hard work and consistency at this skill or this goal provides us for our means to live, and we can do that until we die. So it's not like, yeah, you have to work 40 hours a week. No, work 10, whatever you want to do at a certain age, but never stop living. Never stop contributing to your passion and to your goal as a person. Like this is the philosophy that I want to live by. And maybe when I'm older, maybe when I'm 50, I just want to retire and sit on a beach, right? I don't know. However, right now as I stand, I don't see that viable. I don't see that as a real possibility. I hope this video spoke to some of you and can like connect with that side of like, let's do something more. Let's not work to retire. Let's work because we're contributing to a greater goal, to something that we believe in, something we're passionate about. We don't have to just take the same steps that our parents and their parents told them. New generations, you know, we're not even the future anymore. If you're about my age, we're the now. We're going into the world, we're providing value. Let's change that. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that you understand where I'm coming from on this idea of like wanting to challenge norms. I want to break boundaries. And I believe we have to have conversations about things that have been in system for a long time. Things like retirement. Like, what is retirement? Let's challenge it. Let's look into it. If you have any comments about this, leave them below. I'd be happy to talk to you about it. If you want me to go more in depth about like this whole retirement thing, maybe we can do like a deep dive into retirement and the history behind it. But this is just what I want to do in the video. Hopefully I sparked something in like you, dear watcher. You don't want to retire, you want to build something. That's what I want to do. And I can't wait to see you in the next video. Make sure you subscribe, please like, please share the video. I am trying to grow this channel. I believe I'm going to do some crazy things in this world, and I want to bring you along on that journey. But get out of here, go watch another video. Peace.